HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This segment of the news is brought to you by BTC, powered by Lime.
Welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition. Good Saturday evening, everyone. I'm LaDawn Davis. Thanks for joining us. We begin with good news tonight on the weather, as that heavy rain the country experienced all week has begun to subside. On the first day of the 2013 Atlantic hurricane season, Met officials, though, say we're not out of the woods just yet. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is joining us live in studio with all the details. Good evening, Greg.
Yeah, good evening, LaDawn, and good evening, everybody. Yeah, well, we did have quite a wet 2 weeks. Last Tuesday we had quite a bit of rainfall, and we had a whole week of rainfall this week. Totals at the airport just around 15 inches, and of course some locations had much more than that, as we had some serious flooding in the eastern portions of the island. We also had some flooding, I understand, in the Exumas, and we're going to see, I guess, some footage here. But rainfall is the problem. We're getting a little bit of a break right now, but we expect that break to be very short-lived, as we expect a lot more moisture out of the Caribbean to be moving our way. We do have the update for the 2013 hurricane season. Colorado State University, NOAA, and the averages. 18 named storms forecasted there by Colorado State. That's Dr. Klotzbach and Dr. Gray. 9 of those becoming hurricanes, 4 majors. And of course, NOAA, the National Hurricane Center, expecting 13 to 20 named storms this system, 7 to 11 of them becoming hurricanes. 3 to 6 of them major hurricanes. Of course, you see the normals here, 12, 6, and 3. So the name of the game right now is to prepare for the hurricane season, as this is expected to be very, very active season out there in the Atlantic. LaDawn?
Thanks, Greg. Well, if you think the flooding situation here in New Providence was bad, think again, as residents on the island of Exuma reported severe flooding there overnight. Exuma's local government chief councilor Godfrey Gray informed our news team that he has been using his Dodge truck to transport evacuated Sandals Emerald Bay employees all morning.
We went into Crescent Sound, where we evacuated some 30 management staff of Sandals, and we took them to the Palm Bay Beach Resort near Georgetown, where they were housed overnight. We have water up to 5 to 6 feet on the main Queens Highway between AID and Smitty's. That's about, I'll say about 3 miles of water. It's impossible. The road is impossible. The taxis can't go to the airport.
Mr. Gray says based on his initial assessment, it's going to take some time for residents to rebuild, as many settlements are reportedly underwater.
All the farmland is underwater. Thompson, Short Manor, the Forest, Farmers Hill, all of those places are underwater. And a lot of the homes are like in the Farmers Hill and the Forest. A lot of vehicle damage, they were underwater. I'm presently right near AID. We have the police compound here. That's the CDU unit. Their whole office is underwater. It reminds me of the tropical storm Noel 2 years ago, around June.
Officials from the National Emergency Management Agency, or NEMA, still on the ground conducting their flooding assessments throughout the capital today. NEMA's First Assistant Secretary, Crystal Glinton, told our news team that even though assessments are going pretty well, she's deeply concerned about the lack of information submitted by flooding victims.
So far, we have spoken to at least 1,500 persons who were at home. A number of notes have been left on their doors indicating that NEMA has visited that area. We have been in the areas last week in St. Anne's, Yamacraw, and also in Fox Hill. We are back in some of those areas again. Today, we are visiting in Yamacraw. We are also in Nassau Village, Elizabeth Estates, and Fox Hill. Well, maybe in another 2 weeks. The reason being we're experiencing, I'm sure you heard, we're having flooding also down at Exuma. So we don't know what type of support we would need to give to them in Exuma also.
It's been almost 2 weeks now since torrential rain pounded the homes of many residents in the Pinewood Gardens area, and today some of those residents are still cleaning up debris and ruined property from their homes. Member of Parliament Kaylis Roll told ZNS News today that a cleanup campaign to assist his constituents is currently in progress.
Involved in an active cleanup campaign, and obviously there were many people that were impacted, and they had damage to their homes, they had damage to furniture, and we, along with Bahamas Waste, made provisions to have dumpsters placed throughout the community so that people are able to dump the goods that were damaged. And Bahamas Waste was very gracious in providing those dumpsters free of charge for us.
That's Area Member of Parliament Kaylis Roll describing the effective cleanup exercise being carried out to assist hundreds of constituents who are still trying to pick up the pieces as a result of last week's heavy downpours within their community. Just last week, Minister of Finance, Prime Minister of the Right Honorable Perry Christie, announced an exigency order that will allow flooding victims to replace the goods lost at a duty-free rate. But while the cleaning up efforts continue, so does the search for a solution to the drainage problem. The Pinewood MP lamented that it's a major concern for his constituents and has now sought out a private sector engineer to assist with a possible solution.
I spoke to and in fact invited an engineer that has lots of experience in this area to come over last week. He came, he looked at the problem. In fact, he came during the height of the second round of the storm. And we actually drove through every corner. We went down to Seabreeze Canal. We went down to South Beach. And he believes that there is a possible solution that may not be as costly as we initially thought solving the problem would be.
Mr. Roll says that engineer is expected to return to the capital sometime next week to work along with the Ministry of Works crew to develop a proposal on how to minimize the frequent impact of flooding in the Pinewood community. The Ministry of National Security described alleged rumors circulating today that the Minister of National Security, Dr. Bernard Nottage, has passed away as unfounded and untrue. National security officials confirmed to ZNS News that Dr. Nottage is resting comfortably at a medical facility in South Florida and is expected to return to the Bahamas and at work in a few days. The Department of Immigration confirming that during last week's rainstorm here in New Providence, there was an alleged escape attempt at the detention center on Carmichael Road. A release confirmed that all individuals were prevented from escaping, but one person identified as Roberto Angleo La Madrid reportedly remains at large. Immigration officials also indicated that a website is reportedly showing pictures of detainees within the center and voicing complaints about their treatment. These photos and their origin are being investigated. Immigration officials confirmed that a complete search was done of the premises by the officers at the center 2 days ago, and another investigation is underway. From the crime beat, authorities here in the capital confirming that they are now questioning 2 men and 2 women in connection with the recent shooting of a 70-year-old female of Pt.1 Street that happened around 3:30 yesterday morning. Police confirmed that 3 men, one of whom was reportedly armed with a shotgun, entered a residence off Nassau Street and allegedly robbed the occupants of electronic items. It is reported that as the men fled the home, a gunshot was allegedly fired, which resulted in the elderly female being shot. She is detained in serious condition in hospital tonight. Central Division officers, accompanied by Central Detective Unit officers, arrested the suspect shortly before 8 o'clock last night. Acting on information, the officers went to the property in the area where they reportedly discovered a shotgun with shotgun shells and a large quantity of electronic items believed to be the property of the victims involved in the burglary. An active police investigation continues into this matter. Meanwhile, residents in Inagua contacted ZNS News earlier today and identified the elderly female victim as Belphine Lightbourne. The incident allegedly left residents there in shock. We spoke by telephone today with Ms. Lightbourne's son-in-law, George Harris, in Inagua.
She has been deeply involved in the community in Greater Inagua. She attended Church of God of Prophecy on Mortimer Street and is part of the outreach prayer group ministry where they do go around town having their street meetings, encouraging folks to do right. And she also ran a vendor stall where she make a lot of destroy items, and they were able to pull off a huge display of the products grown in Inagua in the backyard. And of course, they were just making ready this year to do that again. So it was shocking to hear she became a victim of a house invasion injured. And we know she is hospitalized, and a lot of people are praying for her speedy recovery. But we know she is really in some bad condition now at the hospital.
It's been 1 week since Central Detective Unit officers began to probe those double murders on a track road off Carmichael Road, and police say they're following several leads in this case. It was last week Saturday when police reported that fire services personnel were alerted to a bush fire on this track road. However, when they arrived there, they discovered it was a vehicle fire. When the blaze was extinguished, the police found 2 bodies inside. Authorities confirmed to our news team that the bodies were believed to be a man and a woman. Police also noted that the burnt car could be a Dodge Stratus or an Avenger. Head of the Central Detective Unit, Superintendent Paul Roll, confirmed to ZNS News that DNA samples have been released for identification. Officers were also questioning a man and a woman in connection with this incident. However, Superintendent Roll confirmed they have since been released from police custody. If you have any information, you're asked to call the Central Detective Unit at 502-9991, Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS, or your nearest police station. And we're only days away until activities commemorating the 2013 Serrando Fox Labor Day begins. That story and more coming up.